The stars were quiet, but the council chamber was not. Alien leaders from across the galaxy filled the great hall, their voices trembling with unease. Reports had arrived only hours ago. Something was moving from Earth's orbit. Something massive. "Ah, the scans confirmed?" asked Chancellor Voren, his scaled hands clenching the edge of the table. His reptilian eyes darted between the frightened delegates. "Yes, Chancellor," replied a thin insectoid advisor, her antennae shaking. "The object left Earth's orbit 2 days ago. Its size, it is larger than any vessel we know." The room fell silent. Even the bravest leaders avoided looking at each other. Earth, so long considered weak, backward and insignificant, had launched something into the void. "But Earth is primitive," said Lord Sereth of the Varians, his voice sharp but hollow. "They cannot build such a craft. Their ships are small, slow, and fragile." A booming voice rose from the far end of the chamber. "And yet, Sereth, our senses do not lie. The object is the size of a moon. Its power readings are disturbing." A cold shiver spread through the chamber. On the giant display above, the image of the warship appeared. At first, it looked like a shadow in space, its black armor swallowing the starlight. Then the scanners revealed details, long, jagged edges, like blades, an engine core glowing faintly, and countless weapon ports lined across its body. It was not a ship made for exploration. It was made for destruction. "It cannot be true," whispered one delegate. "No civilization builds such a thing without purpose. Why would Earth, of all planets, do this?" The answer none dared to say aloud was simple: revenge. For centuries, Earth had been mocked, bullied, and controlled. The Council forced them into unfair treaties. Their colonies were taxed. Their people were pushed aside. Many had called humans the children of the galaxy, too small to matter, too weak to fight. But now something had changed. Suddenly, the chamber shook as an alert blared through the speakers. "Attention! Incoming transmission! From Earth!" The Council froze. Leaders who had commanded fleets, destroyed worlds, and enslaved races now looked pale and powerless. Slowly the screen shifted, and a human appeared. He was calm, dressed in a simple black uniform, no crown, no medals. His eyes were sharp, steady, and utterly unafraid. "Leaders of the galaxy," he began, his voice echoing through the chamber. "You have treated Earth as weak. You have stolen from us, mocked us, and called us less. That time is over." Gasps unfilled the room. "You see before you," the human continued, "the Dawnbringer, Earth's first and final warship. It is built with one purpose: to end any empire that dares to threaten us again." The delegates whispered in horror. Sereth slammed his fist on the table. "You dare threaten us, human? Do you know what forces we command? Entire fleets could crush your world in a single day." The human did not flinch. He leaned closer to the screen, his voice lower, sharper. "Try and your fleets will never return home. Your worlds will burn, and your people will beg for mercy." The chamber went cold. No one moved. At that moment, another alarm sounded. A live broadcast appeared beside the human's face. It showed a barren moon orbiting a distant gas giant. The Dawnbringer hovered above it, silent and motionless. Then, with no warning, a single beam of light erupted from the ship's core. The moon cracked like glass. Within seconds, it shattered into dust. The galaxy had just witnessed a planet-killing weapon. Silence followed. The alien leaders who once shouted with arrogance now stared, their voices gone. Finally, the humans spoke again. That was 1% of its power. "Do not test us again." The screen went black. Panic erupted in the chamber. Some leaders shouted for war, but their voices were drowned by cries of fear. Others begged to open peace talks at once. Some whispered about surrender. The mighty empires that had ruled for centuries now trembled like frightened children. Chancellor Voren rose slowly, his voice shaking. "If Earth has such power, then none of us are safe." Lord Sereth, once defiant, now looked pale. They will destroy us all if we resist. They will destroy us, Foreign corrected, if we do not listen. As arguments spread, a shadow passed over the chamber windows. Every leader turned in horror. The Dawnbringer was here. It had crossed half the galaxy in silence and now floated above the Council's homeworld. Its black frame blotted out the stars. The engines glowed with a slow, steady pulse, like the heartbeat of a predator watching its prey. Then the human's voice returned, colder than before. "You have one choice," he said. "War or peace. But understand this. Earth does not bluff." The warship's weapons hummed softly, glowing faintly as if waiting for a single command. The chamber fell silent again. The leaders of entire civilizations, who once laughed at Earth, now stared at each other in dread. None dared to speak. None dared to challenge. For the first time in history, the galaxy realized a truth that could not be denied. The age of humans had begun. The council chamber still shook with fear after the warship's first demonstration. The image of the shattered moon played again and again on the giant screens above, a reminder of what Earth had just shown them. No one in the galaxy could deny the truth anymore. Humans had built something that could wipe out worlds in a single strike. Leaders who once spoke with arrogance now whispered like frightened children. The mighty Chancellor Voran sat in silence, his claws tapping nervously against the steel table. Lord Sereth, who had shouted threats only hours earlier, now stared into the void, his lips pale and trembling. Then, once more, the chamber lights. It dimmed. A signal cut through every defense system, slipping past shields, codes, and locks. The message carried the same signature: Earth. The screen flickered alive. The human appeared again. His uniform was plain black, but his presence filled the hall like a storm. His eyes were calm, cold, and unblinking. "Leaders of the galaxy," he began, his voice steady. "You asked why Earth has done this. I will give you the answer." The chamber was silent. Every leader leaned forward. "For centuries, you have mocked us. You called us children. You took from us, demanded our resources, taxed our colonies, and left us nothing but scraps. You signed treaties that chained us, laughed when we resisted, and looked away when others bled us dry." A murmur of shame and fear spread across the room. Everyone remembered the centuries of abuse. It was true. Earth had been treated as a servant, never an equal. The human continued. His voice grew harder. "We remembered. And while you ruled and fought among yourselves, Earth built in silence. You never asked why our skies grew darker, why our stations doubled in size, why our ships vanished beyond the edge of mapped space. You never asked because you believed humans could not matter." The screen zoomed out for a moment. Behind him, the Dawnbringer was visible through a massive window, its dark frame stretching endlessly, glowing with quiet power. "This ship is not only a weapon," the human said. "It is a message. Earth will never again kneel." Suddenly, a delegate rose. He was small, frail, from a minor system, yet his voice carried desperation. We did not harm Earth. My people never took part in this. Please, you must believe me." The human's eyes shifted slightly. His expression did not change. "Then you have nothing to fear. This ship will not fire upon those who never raised their hand against us." Another voice cried out, this time from the proud Varian leader, Lord Sereth. His pride struggled with his terror. "You threaten us with destruction, but you are only one world. Do you truly believe you can rule an entire galaxy?" The human gave the faintest smile. "We do not need to rule the galaxy. We only need to make sure no one rules us." The chamber froze at those words. The simple truth of it hit harder than the weapon had. Then, without warning, the human leaned forward. His voice dropped low, sharp like a blade. "But hear this. If any empire attempts to break Earth again, if any fleet dares to cross into our skies, then it will not be a moon that falls. It will be your homeworlds, and you will beg for a mercy that will never come." The lights of the chamber flickered as if his words carried their own power. "Do you think we are bluffing?" he asked. No one answered. To their horror, the screen split into two. Another live feed appeared. It showed a fleet of raider ships, pirates who had long preyed on Earth's colonies, stationed near a nebula. They had always believed Earth could not touch them. The Dawnbringer appeared behind them, silent and sudden. Before the Council could even speak, the warship fired once. The entire pirate fleet disappeared in a single flash, reduced to ash in the endless dark. The human's face returned to the full screen. His voice was quiet, almost soft. "This is not a threat. It is a promise." Panic rushed through the chamber. Again, delegates shouted over one another. Some demanded surrender at once. Others whispered that they must unite their fleets before it was too late. Still others sat in silence, broken by fear. One leader, a frail, bird-like ruler from the Orin Empire, stood shakily. "What do you want from us?" The human paused. His eyes scanned the crowd as if weighing their souls. "We want only peace, but peace built on respect, not chains. Treat Earth as you would treat any great power, nothing more, nothing less." But if we refuse?" the bird-like leader asked, his wings trembling. The human's expression hardened. "Then you will no longer exist." The words were spoken simply, without anger or boast, and that made them even more terrifying. The chamber sank into silence once more. The warship loomed outside, its presence pressing on every heart. Chancellor Voren, once proud, lowered his gaze. He spoke in a voice broken by defeat. "Then we must choose carefully. For the first time, Earth holds the blade, and the galaxy bleeds fear." The human's image flickered once more. He gave a single final warning. "Remember my words. Earth does not seek war. But if war is forced upon us, we will end it with fire." Then the screen went black. For a long moment, no one moved. The galaxy's greatest powers had been given a choice, and for the first time in history, it was not theirs to make. Outside, the Dawnbringer floated in silence, like a predator watching its prey, patient and unshakable. The message was clear. The age of weakness was over. The age of humans had arrived. The council chamber had never been so divided. After the humans' message, the alien leaders no longer argued about taxes or trade routes. Now, every voice carried fear. "They cannot be allowed to keep such a weapon," shouted Lord Sereth, his scales glistening with sweat. "If Earth controls that ship, none of us are safe. We must act now, before it is too late." "Act?" snapped Chancellor Voren, his voice low and dangerous. "You saw what they did to the moon. You saw what they did to the raider fleet. Do you truly believe your armies will stand where entire worlds cannot?" Sereth slammed his fist on the table. "We are not cowards. If we unite, if every empire sends their fleets, we can crush Earth's rebellion before it spreads." A sharp, high-pitched laugh cut through the air. It came from Zera, the insectoid queen, her wings buzzing with unease. "Rebellion? You fool, this is no rebellion, this is dominance. Earth has not asked to rule the galaxy, but they could if they wished." The room fell silent at her words. From the back a timid voice rose. It belonged to Ral, leader of a small aquatic race, his watery eyes full of fear. Perhaps we should speak with them. Negotiate peace. If they only want respect, maybe we can give it and survive." Sereth growled. "Surrender, you mean? Bend our knees to humans?" Voren leaned closer, his gaze fixed on Sereth. "Better to bend than to burn." The chamber erupted into chaos. Voices clashed, alliances cracked, and old enemies shouted accusations. Some called for war, others for surrender, and some simply cried in despair. But outside the chamber, panic spread faster than words. Across the galaxy, entire civilizations trembled. On the desert world of Kor, people stared at the sky, whispering stories of Earth's warship like it was a god of fire. Parents warned their children not to speak against humans, as if even words might summon destruction. On the icy colonies of Terra, military leaders argued in secret rooms. Some demanded preparation for battle. Others suggested sending gifts and apologies to Earth. None could agree, and fear ate at them like frost. In the capital of the wealthy Mirren Empire, merchants locked away their fortunes. If humans control trade routes, they whispered, then wealth means nothing. The stock markets collapsed in a single day, not from war, but from fear. Even the pirate clans, once untouchable, vanished into hiding. Those who survived the Dawnbringer's strike spread tales of its weapons. Beams that cut through shields like paper, missiles faster than thought, and engines that bent the stars themselves. Everywhere, one question burned. What will Earth do? Next, back in the council chamber, the arguments raged on. We must strike before they build more ships, Sereth insisted. His pride would not let him yield. If they have one, they may soon have 10. Do you wish to wait until every world is under their shadow? They built this in silence, Zara hissed. For decades, none of us knew. Do you think you could find their secrets now? They could already have another hidden in the void. The words struck the chamber like a blade. The idea that Earth might already command more than one Dawnbringer filled even Sereth with unease. Rahl, still trembling, spoke again. Then it is worse than we thought. War is not the answer. We must beg them for peace before it is too late. Voron's claws scratched against the table. Begging will not be enough. Humans remember too well. They will not forget what we did to them, Sereth snarled. Then what do you suggest, Chancellor? Surrender forever. Let Earth dictate the future of every star. The Chancellor's eyes glowed faintly in the dim light. Perhaps we already lost the future the moment that ship was born. The chamber grew quiet. For once, Sereth had no reply. But while the leaders argued, the human warship moved again. High above in the black sea of stars, the Dawnbringer turned toward the Council's homeworld. Slowly, deliberately, it crossed the orbit of their twin suns. Entire cities below looked up as the stars vanished, swallowed by its shadow. Fear spread like wildfire. In the chamber, alarms blared. A voice shouted over the speakers. The human vessel has entered orbit. It is aiming directly at us. Panic exploded. Leaders ran from their seats, shouting orders into their comms, demanding fleets, defenses, anything that might save them. Then the transmission cut in once more. The human's face appeared, calm as ever. You argue among yourselves, he said. You fear, you threaten, you beg, but still you do not listen. Earth does not seek your destruction. Yet every word from this chamber proves you cannot understand. His voice grew sharper. So we will make you understand. Outside, the Dawnbringer's weapons flared. For a moment, the Council believed. Their world was doomed. But the beam did not strike the planet. Instead, it fired into the empty space beyond. The blast ripped through nothingness, yet the force was enough to shake the planet's orbit itself. The message was clear. Earth could destroy them in an instant, but chose not to. The human leaned closer to the screen. His voice dropped to a whisper, cold and final. Remember this moment. Your lives are not spared because of your power. They are spared because of our choice. Do not test us again. Thus, the screen went black. The chamber shook with silence. No one spoke, no one dared, and as the shadow of the Dawnbringer hung above their skies, every leader understood the truth. The galaxy was no longer ruled by pride, wealth, or fleets. It was ruled by fear, and fear had a new name, Earth. The Dawnbringer hung above the Council's world like a shadow from another universe. Its black frame blotted out the suns, its weapons glowing faintly with stored fire. Across the planet, billions of eyes looked to the skies and whispered prayers. In terror, inside the council chamber, leaders sat frozen. Some had tried to flee, but the human's voice on the transmission had stopped them cold. Do not run. Watch and understand. The human reappeared on the screen, calm as ever. His dark eyes swept over the alien rulers, each one shaking, each one pale. You still believe Earth is bluffing, he said softly. You still think this is a trick, a scare, but today you will see the truth. His words cut through the silence like a blade. Lord Sereth rose to his feet, desperation shaking his voice. You cannot do this. The galaxy will never forgive such an act. Every empire will rise against you. You will bring ruin to your own world. The human's face did not change. He spoke with icy calm. Perhaps. But if Earth is ruined, then so will be the galaxy that tried to break us. Gasps filled the chamber. Then the image shifted. The screen showed a world far away, an old, uninhabited planet on the edge of council space. It was once a mining colony, now abandoned and lifeless. Dust storms raged across its barren surface, and its crust was cracked with deep scars. This world has no people, the human said. No lives will be lost, but its death will speak louder than any words. The Dawnbringer moved into position. Silence spread across the chamber as the ship's weapons powered up. The energy readings on the council's sensors shot higher and higher until they broke past every known scale. No, whispered Chancellor Voran, his claws trembling. This is impossible. A low hum filled the air, vibrating through the chamber walls, as if the ship's power stretched across space itself. The hum grew into a roar, then, without warning, a beam of pure light erupted from the Dawnbringer's core. The planet never stood a chance. The beam pierced its crust, splitting it open like fragile glass. Cracks spread across the surface, glowing with fire. Within moments, the entire world shook violently, breaking apart. Oceans of magma exploded into space. The planet shattered into fragments, each piece glowing red as it drifted away like burning ashes in the void. The chamber shook as the feed showed the explosion. Even the most arrogant leaders fell silent, their bodies stiff with shock. The human's voice returned, quiet but unshakable. This ship holds power enough to erase worlds. You have seen it with your own eyes. That was not the full strike. That was only a fraction. The words sank deep into every heart. Suddenly, one of the delegates, a bird-like ruler from the Orin, broke down. His wings trembled as he fell to his knees. Mercy, please, mercy. We will surrender. Do not destroy us. Others began to shout as well. A dozen voices cried out at once, begging, pleading, promising loyalty. But Sereth's voice still rose above them. His pride refused to die. You are monsters, he roared. Do you think this fear will last forever? Do you think your single ship can hold back the fury of all the stars? We will not kneel to humans. The human leaned forward on the screen, his face still calm, but his voice cut like steel. You already kneel, Sereth. You just do not know it yet. Sereth froze, his mouth opening and closing without words. The human continued. We do not want slaves. We do not want thrones. We want peace. But if you force us into war, then your worlds will follow that planet into dust. The choice is yours. The chamber sank into silence again. Chancellor Voran spoke at last, his voice hoarse. What if others build weapons like yours? What if every empire creates its own Dawnbringer? What then? For the first time, the human gave a faint smile. Then we will welcome it. Let every empire hold such power, and none will dare strike the other. Fear will keep the peace, even if respect cannot. His words stunned the chamber. It was not conquest he sought. It was balance. Through terror, suddenly another alarm blared. A message flashed across the chamber's screens. Unidentified fleet approaching Earth. The leaders gasped. Who would dare? The human's face turned slightly, as if listening to a report from unseen voices. Then he looked back at the council. His expression did not change, but his words carried finality. Already, one empire tests us. Watch closely. Their choice will be their end. The screen went black. The council chamber erupted with chaos once more. Some leaders screamed in fear. Others demanded to know which empire had moved against Earth, but no answers came. Only one truth remained certain. Whoever had sent that fleet would soon face the full fury of the Dawnbringer, and the galaxy would see what true destruction looked like. The council chamber felt colder than space itself. The destruction of the barren planet still replayed on the screens, the fragments of a world drifting like burning embers. Every leader knew the truth now. Earth's Dawnbringer was not only real, it was unstoppable. Whispers filled the air, fragile and broken. Some begged for peace, others sat in silence, unable to speak. Fear had stolen their voices. Then the alarms blared again. The human's warning echoed in every heart. Already, one empire tests us. Watch closely. On the main screen, a live feed appeared. A massive fleet was moving through the dark, heading straight for Earth. Warships by the hundreds, banners of the Varian Empire shining across their hulls. All eyes turned to Lord Sereth. His scaled face hardened, but his trembling hands betrayed him. You fool! Hissed Queen Zara, her wings rattling. You sent them. You dare provoke Earth after all we have seen? Sereth bared his teeth. Better to die with honor than to crawl like worms at human feet. But even as he spoke, doubt clouded his eyes. The Dawnbringer appeared on the feed, drifting silently above Earth. The Varian fleet spread out, thousands of weapons locking onto the lone human warship. To the council it seemed like a swarm preparing to crush a predator. This is it, whispered Chancellor Voron, his voice trembling. We will see if the humans truly hold the power they claim. The first volley came. Beams of energy, plasma, torpedoes and guided missiles filled the void, rushing toward the Dawnbringer. The council chamber shook with the power of the fleet's combined assault. For a moment, it seemed the humans might finally fall. But then, the Dawnbringer moved. Its black armor glowed faintly, and a shimmering shield rippled across its body. Every weapon strike vanished the instant it touched the barrier, like pebbles thrown into the ocean. Not a scratch appeared on the ship. Gasps filled the council. Some screamed, others wept. Then, with a soundless flash, the Dawnbringer struck back. One beam, just one, cut across the stars like a blade of light. Entire squadrons of Varian ships vanished in the explosion, erased as if they never existed. The survivors, panicked, scattering in every direction, another strike followed. Another fleet gone. In less than a minute, the greatest armada of the Varian Empire was nothing but dust and silence. The chamber filled with chaos. Please, stop this, cried the Orin leader, his wings shaking violently. No more death. We surrender. We surrender. My people will obey Earth's will, shouted another, his voice desperate. Only spare us. We will give resources, trade anything you ask, pleaded a third. Just do not destroy us. Leaders who once ruled galaxies now begged like frightened children. Pride shattered. Power meant nothing. Survival was all that remained. Sereth's face twisted in horror as the final image of his fleet's destruction filled the screen. His voice cracked, no longer proud, only broken. No, this cannot be. They cannot be stronger than us. Voron looked at him coldly. They are, Sereth. Your pride killed your people. Sereth collapsed back into his seat, silent, defeated. Then the human appeared again. His voice was calm, steady, almost quiet against the storm of panic. You have seen what happens when you challenge Earth. You have seen how quickly power can fall. Do you still believe we are bluffing? No one answered. Not one dared. The humans' gaze scanned the room. We did not build the Dawnbringer to conquer. We built it to survive. For too long, Earth was prey. For too long, we were mocked, beaten, enslaved. No more. Today, the galaxy learns that humans do not beg. Humans do not bow. Humans stand. Silence followed. Not even the sound of breathing filled the chamber. Finally, Raal, the aquatic leader, spoke with a voice full of desperation. "What must we do to live? Tell us, and it will be done." The human's eyes locked onto him. "Respect Earth. Respect humanity. Treat us as equals, or face the end. The choice is yours." Another leader shouted, his voice breaking with fear. "We accept. We swear loyalty. Yes, we surrender," cried another. One by one, voices joined in. Empires that had ruled for centuries now begged for mercy. Entire civilizations bowed to Earth's will, but Sereth remained silent, his eyes hollow. The death of his fleet had destroyed him more than any weapon could. The human spoke again, his words cutting through the chaos like a final verdict. "Remember this. Earth did not ask for your surrender. Earth demands only your respect. Choose wisely. There will not be another warning." The screen went dark. For a long time, no one in the chamber moved. The hum of the Dawnbringer above the skies was the only reminder that they were still alive. Finally, Chancellor Voron rose. His voice was quiet, but heavy with truth. "The galaxy has changed. Power belongs no longer to the Council. It belongs to Earth." Every leader lowered their head, not in agreement, but in fear. Outside, the Dawnbringer drifted in silence. Its weapons were quiet, but every world knew they could awaken at any moment, and across the stars, civilizations prayed, not for their gods, but for the mercy of humankind. The galaxy had fallen into silence. Across star systems, news of the Dawnbringer's power spread faster than light. Entire worlds trembled. Fleets that once roamed with pride now hid in their docks. Leaders who once demanded obedience now whispered in fear, but still the council gathered. They had no choice. The warship hovered above their skies, its black frame blocking the suns, its presence pressed on every heart like the weight of a mountain. Inside the chamber, Chancellor Voron spoke with a heavy voice. "The age of arrogance is over. Earth has shown us power no empire can resist." Some nodded in despair. Others sat frozen, still unable to believe the truth. Then the screen lit up again. The human appeared. He stood tall, dressed in plain uniform, his face calm but unshakable. His voice carried across the hall like a command carved in stone. "You have seen enough destruction. You have watched worlds burn and fleets vanish. Now you will hear Earth's final words." No one dared to speak. The human continued. "We did not seek war. For centuries, Earth wanted peace. We wanted trade, alliance, and respect. But you gave us chains. You took our resources. You mocked our strength. You treated us as less. And while you laughed, we built this." Behind him, the Dawnbringer appeared on the feed, its engines glowing, its weapons ready. "We built it in silence. We built it in pain, and now it stands as proof that humanity does not fall, not to you, not to anyone." A faint buzzing filled the chamber as Queen Zera shifted uneasily. Her voice was thin. What will you do with such power?" The human's eyes turned toward her. "What we must. If peace can be kept through respect, then we will choose peace. But if war is forced upon us, then we will end it in fire. Make no mistake, Earth does not bluff." The words echoed through the chamber. Lord Sereth, broken from the loss of his fleet, finally lifted his head. His voice was hollow, empty. "You have already won. What more do you want from us?" The human looked at him for a long moment. Then he spoke with finality. "We want a future where no empire treats Earth as prey, a future where humans walk as equals, not as servants." Chancellor Voron swallowed hard, his claws digging into the table. "And if we refuse?" The human's eyes narrowed. "Then you will join the dust of the worlds we have already destroyed." You have seen what happens to those who defy us." The chamber fell into silence again. The message was clear. Suddenly, a new feed appeared on the screen. It showed the Council's homeworld, the very planet they sat upon. The Dawnbringer's weapons glowed faintly, locked onto the surface. Gasps filled the chamber. "You think you have time," the human said. "You think Earth will hesitate, but hesitation is gone. Choose now peace or war." Panic erupted. Leaders shouted at once. "We surrender!" cried the Orin leader, wings shaking. "We will honor Earth," shouted another. "Please, do not fire," begged a third. The chamber turned into chaos. Even the proudest rulers bent under fear. No one wanted to be the reason their world turned to ash. The human raised a hand, and the voices fell silent. His words came slow and heavy. "This is your last warning. Respect Earth, respect humanity, or face your end. The age of chains is over. The age of humans begins today." The screen went black. Outside, the Dawnbringer powered down its weapons. But it did not leave. It remained above the Council's skies, a reminder of the promise it carried. Across the galaxy, news spread like wildfire. Empires signed new treaties, this time with Earth at the center. Fleets were pulled back, armies stood down. Trade routes opened under human protection, but the people did not celebrate. They feared. In every star system, children whispered stories of the Dawnbringer, the black ship that could kill worlds. Soldiers prayed they would never see its shadow. Rulers bowed to the very civilization they once mocked. Back in the chamber, Voron lowered his head. His voice broke the silence. "So it is done. Humanity holds the galaxy in its hand." No one argued. Above them, the Dawnbringer moved at last. Slowly, it turned away from the planet, its engines blazing with light. It vanished into the void, leaving only the memory of its power. But every leader knew the truth. The humans were watching. The humans were waiting. And if anyone dared test them again, the Dawnbringer would return. In the endless silence of space, one truth now ruled all. Others, the galaxy belonged to fear, and fear wore the name of Earth.